Hi everyone, this is Sock again. Here with my girlfriend Shu.
Hello.
Today we're going to be reviewing one of Shu's older games. In this one, she's currently in Silver 3. Right now, she's actually in Silver 1. She did not lose enough to come back to Silver 3. This is just a older game that we didn't review before. So let's get started. So from the start, we have M-BESA, which gives you 3 random traits, and in my opinion, is probably the most fun start. So if we look at her trait, she has Chem Baron and Scrap and Experiment. This is a very interesting setup. That is Oh wow, look at that. You got another Chem Baron. Are you thinking this is a Chem Baron game perhaps?
So, at this moment, I've seen Sock play enough Chem Baron games that I know the idea is you want to have a lose streak to get your shimmer to go up more. I feel like Chem Baron does seem to be considered to be one of the harder ones to play correctly, so I'm at this point telling myself I'm just going to try to max out my Scrap and Experiment and just see how that goes.
Yeah, I think that's good. This is something that we talked about before, which is when you get M-BESA, what you want to do is try to make 2 out of the 3 emblems work if possible, right? Because everyone else also has a 3 emblem golem, which means they may be able to use anywhere from 1 to 3 of the traits. If you can make use of 2 of the traits, that definitely puts you in a good spot in comparison to everyone else. One thing to compare is there's things such as trainer golems, which have either 1 or 2 emblems on them. The reason why here you want to try to make use of 2 out of 3 is because everyone has a golem. If you pick something that just gives you a golem with 1, 2, or 3 emblems, that's different because you're the only one with that golem. So it's okay to just tunnel in on 1. I'm not saying you shouldn't tunnel in on 1 if you get 6 scraps immediately, but if you can, try to figure out how you can cook, right? So this is a good start, but what do you think you could have done better here?
I think at this point, having the 2-star Stebbin would have been fine, because I would have still had the 2 Scrap and done something with that.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. Because right now, Powder is kind of awkward. She's kind of a 3rd Scrap that doesn't do anything for the team, right? So another tanky front line would have been great. Oh. So I think it's fine to sell stuff to try to get 10 gold. But the thing is, here you need to win to get 10 gold. And, well, you didn't, right? So generally, you want to wait until the round is almost over and you know you will win. Or even after you have won to sell your units to get 10 gold. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
The other thing to consider here is scrap allows you to scrap 1 item, okay? But that also means you can have a completed item. So for example here, you could have made a Bloodthirster and still had a belt to scrap on your Trundle, you know? And that would have made you stronger as well, because Trundle would have been able to survive longer and perhaps you would have won the last round. Does that make sense? Oh, I see that's exactly what you're doing, so that's good. Or
I think pretty sure I do make the Bloodthirster and put it on Lux. It just takes me a sec.
okay, that sounds good. The other thing to consider is Bloodthirster is good because it allows you to steal blood. It allows you to heal back damage that you did. So Bloodthirster on a backline, I would say is acceptable. But if possible, I would have rather put it on the Trundle, right? Because if you look at your backline, your Lux has full HP, which means the lifesteal portion of Bloodthirster is kind of wasted on Lux. Whereas Trundle will always lose HP almost immediately because he's a frontline tank. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think where my mind went at that moment was I've done the Lux reroll where you do, where you typically equip her with Bloodthirster and Archangels. So I just figured that would be that was at least my logic behind that. So for the time being, I do put in Akalia and just to have another frontline person, just cuz.
So that's fine. What else do you think you could have done here, though, to be stronger?
Well, I think I guess I could have done just put another Zyra in the back. That's an option, but I think traits-wise, there weren't, I think, from what it looks like, options.
What about the Twisted Fate?
I mean, I guess I could have then put him over the Lux.
Yeah, so you have a 1-star Lux, and you have a 1-star Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate would have put in 2 Quick Strikers, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So what do you think you want to get from this carousel here?
I'm pretty sure I was thinking of doing a tanky item. It's been a little while since I played this game, so I actually don't remember what I picked. But I was also looking a lot at the characters to see, will someone be able to bring me up to 3 experiment? And I don't think there were any experiment characters on this carousel.
There isn't any experiment characters, but there was a Ziggs, which would have given you 4 scraps, and there was a Gameplank that would have given you 4 scraps as well.
That is true. So I guess I picked up the Steb to get Bruiser up in the front.
Sure. And one other thing to consider is that you picked up Steb, who is a 1 cost. There are also 3 costs. It doesn't sound like a lot, 2 gold, but 2 gold could be the difference between leveling up and not leveling up. It could be the difference between making interest and not making interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if possible, it would be good to go for a 3 cost. I don't think you had a ideal item from the carousel left, right? So at that point, you probably should have just focused on getting a 3 cost to get higher interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think at that point I didn't have up to 3 components. I think I had 2 components. Well, I guess I only had 2 components, and typically with 4 scrap is like up to 3 components get changed.
So right now you have 23 gold, okay? And you'll have 24 gold after you win this one. And there's a pair of Aurelias that are in the shop. It doesn't hurt you to buy the Aurelias, you know? You might as well buy both Aurelias, and that way you find another one. You have a 2-star Aurelia, and maybe you have a Rel, and that might be a stronger front line than the current front line that you have right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
So the other thing that's very important on specifically Mbessa encounters is scouting what your opponents have, okay? By looking at what they have, you have a good idea of what they're going to go. So for example, this person that you're facing, he has a Watcher and a Sentinel, which means you at least know he's either going to go Watcher or he's going to go Sentinel frontline. If you look at other people, you can try to make sure you avoid going the same comp as some of the other players. So generally, I would do that at the start of the game.
Judging by them, it seems like they were maxing out all 3 of them. I saw they had a Singe, which gave them Sentinel. They had Vlad in there, which gave them Watcher, and I do see they have a Shimmer bottle. And they have both Singe and Renata. Bring them up to Chem Baron.
Yeah, it actually looks like they're trying to make use of everything, which could be a jack of all trades, master of none situation. So let's see how they do going forward.
I think I was just debating what to do.
Sure. And again, I mentioned this before, but if you're winning, you want to level up at 2-1 and then 2-5. In this case, you are loss, win, loss, and then win, win. So it's okay that you're not leveled up. But if you're doing well, right now you should be at level 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, good. So you put in 4 scrap, which is fine. The issue here though is okay, yeah, your front line is sort of weak, right? And that's kind of what you did. You put in another step to make your front line a little stronger.
I think I was figuring out what to put on who. No, but I mean, I know at this point, like, it doesn't factor in because I didn't put them on fast enough.
Yeah, I think at this stage, it's fine to just put anything on anyone because you're essentially playing 2 items down right now, right?
Yeah.
Neither of them are optimal. You don't really want the fist on Zig or Powder. You don't want the bowl on Zig or Powder. I guess it's not awful, but ideally you get like a rod or a tier at least at the start of the game. So you should just kind of stick any on either one of them.
Yeah, that was definitely part of why I was having a dilemma there, because I saw that I got like, I have very AD items, and both Ziggs and Powder are more AP. As you can see, now I add an experiment.
Okay, yeah. But what do you think you missed here? And maybe you catch it, but what could you have improved on here?
Well, I mean, Lux still has her items on her. As you see, now I do slam the arrow and fist on them.
Okay. But what else do you think you missed? Obviously, you should sell your Lux and get the items to put on someone else.
Set is a better bruiser.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, Set is a better bruiser than Steb. So
Okay.
Could have put him in.
I think the main thing that I was talking about is the game playing, right? So we just talked about how maybe Powder and Ziggs are not the best holders for AD items. But you know what is a really good holder for AD items?
Gangplank.
Gangplank, exactly. So it would be very good to put him in. Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I just put him in. And
yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like I take that off. Put that on him.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. I just put that on my Nunu, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's completely fine. And also here you're actually at 6 scraps, and it's very, very early in the game, which is really, really good. And 6 scraps is actually very powerful, so I think you should be winning a lot here.
I will also point out this is the first time I've ever played Experiment in a game, so this was kind of a new experience for me.
Sure, of course. And I'll actually planning on making a video on experiments because it is they're unique. They all have special bonuses and they're different across all 6 units. And the emblem is actually different as well. But just for future references, the emblem is really good to put on the scrap tile, okay?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So right now you have Nunu and you have Zyra on the scrap tile. It's fine, but in the future, consider putting the emblem on, especially early game. What the emblem allows you to do is it allows you to copy whoever is holding that emblem after a few seconds or after they take enough damage. The copy is a little weaker, but that overall is still extremely strong because you essentially just have more characters. So you took out the Nunu to put in the Urgot. Currently, that makes you a lot weaker because now you don't have 6 scraps anymore. You went from 6 scrap bonus to the 4 scrap bonus. and that means you lose a lot of shield. Okay, so I don't know if that was the best decision. Honestly, I probably would have kept the Nunu in over the Urgot.
Yeah.
Urgot does give you Pit Fighter, but Nunu gives you more tank, right? He's a bruiser and he gives you more tank. And one thing that you could consider is actually having both of them in. Maybe you take Zyra out and you put both of them into your team. Okay?
Yeah. So actually that's what I did. So
Yeah.
just having that in there.
So especially here where you have a 2-star Nunu, I would have certainly taken the Zyra out and put in the Nunu.
That makes sense, you know, just like it ups the. It's just a better quality experiment character.
Yeah. And generally, if you are going for scrap, you want to try to level up quicker, okay? Because when you level up, you get to some of the really strong scrap units, such as Corki, such as Echo. These are really what you want to put in to be as strong as possible.
Makes sense.
So I think it's fine. I think you're just like rolling for, I guess, 2-star Urgot.
Yeah.
But I would certainly try to get to level 8 as soon as possible so you can start picking up the Corkis as well as the Echoes and maybe even a Rumble, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So. All the dilemmas.
What are you thinking right now?
I think I'm sure at this point I had the Meta TFT app open on the other screen, and I'm just figuring out like what would be a good thing to give. I'm pretty sure in the next round I give the Giant Slayer to Ziggs.
So I think it's important to look at what you're trying to put them on eventually, right? The final carries for scrap is generally Corki. It could also be Rumble and Echo, but Corki is the big one. Mm-hmm. And for him, the best one is Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, etc., right?
So the Sword Fist could have been a good combo then.
Yeah, Sword Fist would have been a really good combo. In fact, you could have also made like bow and rod to get a Gwynsus. It's not the best thing, but it's acceptable, right?
I think I'd pick the. Huh. Okay.
Okay.
I'm surprised considering that there was a specific experiment one.
Yeah, I think Overheal is fine here. You do have our Urgot, which is in the front and appreciates the healing. But at the same time, some of the other ones may have been better for the board that you're building towards. Mm-hmm. So I think the other piece is you're just not very familiar with experiments. That's actually one of the next videos that I plan on making.
Yeah, this was my first time doing it, so I do kind of the basics of when you have them, you want to put them on the nice slime spots.
Yeah, you want to put them on the slime spots. But it's like which one you put has different effects, right? So
yeah,
you got to try to think about what's the best combo for the current situation. The other thing here is you should probably stop rolling at this point. And also you roll past the Mundo if you were looking for more experiments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my mind at that point also thought I mean, I should have gotten him, but I wasn't at the level where he would appear more frequently. So I think I just told myself, oh, I'll find more later. It's fine if I did. I don't really know if I did completely roll over him or not.
Okay.
Probably could have put that on Ziggs.
Yeah, so generally you want to stack your items. You want to put 3 items, or I guess in the case of Scrap, 2.5 items on a character so that they get as strong as possible. Right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I want the Twitch. I don't know if I'm able to get him. Or I think it was either Twitch or Mundo that I wanted to get, but I wasn't sure which one I ended up getting.
Sure, that's okay.
Okay, I went for the Mundo.
Yeah, yeah. And again, if you had that other Mundo, you would be at 2 Mundos, and that would be pretty close to like a Mundo 2, right? Yeah. And if you look at it, you actually have 3, which means if you put in the Mundo, you'll have 5 experiments, right?
What did I do at this point?
So Ionic doesn't really help you as much right now because your board has, I guess it does have a Zig and it has a Zyra. So Ionic Spark would have been fine here. In the future, it is very good on Echo and it's very good on Rumble. So I think if I was in this spot, I actually would have slammed Ionic Spark on your team.
Yeah, and then just transferred it later.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. The other thing about staying level 6 or 7 is that it's a little harder to pick who you want to anomaly, right? Like you don't have any forecast other than maybe Mundo. That actually would have been fine on Mundo.
I think I'm looking to do my Urgot.
Sure, yeah. I think Urgot is fine as a early carry, but if you want to carry him into the late game, generally you do want him to be 3-star. I guess maybe you were looking for a 3-star Urgot, and that's why you were rolling at level 6. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's probably why.
Okay.
So, well, now I've leveled up and I put the Mundo in, so now I'm at 5 experiment as well.
Okay, yeah. Again, I'll make a separate video that goes over the experiment bonuses of each and what you should put on the hexes, right?
Yeah.
So I think because you're new, this is completely fine, but hopefully next time you play experiment, you'll have better knowledge on what to do, okay?
Yeah.
But I think you're actually in a pretty good spot. This is quite interesting. You're at 6 scrap and 5 experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy about this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing very well. You're on a 4 win streak. So.
Oh, now I got a free round.
So a lot of the stuff that's on your bench could be interest, right? If you look at the Swain's probably not going in anytime soon, right?
I think I'd kept him in the case that I wanted to put Sorcerer in there with Zyra, but
would you have wanted to put Sorcerer in there?
I mean, at this point, probably not.
I think the next in will probably be Tristana, right? It's like a 2-star Tristana. It gives you 2 artillerists.
With Corki.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I guess it would even give me 2 now with
Yeah.
Urgot, but as you can see, I got a Rumble from that, which is extremely lucky.
Yeah, that's great.
I did put him up at the front.
I don't know if I would have. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I don't know if I would have quite put him over the Trundle. I would probably have taken out the Ziggs and put him in. Right? Because by removing Trundle, you're removing a frontliner, first of all, but you're also removing the synergy with Nunu. Okay?
Yes. Yeah. But, I mean, if I got rid of Ziggs, that would be getting rid of the synergy with Mundo, also.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, fair point.
So, I think I think I picked that also because Trundle's the 1 cost, so that was at least my rationale for that. Not sure if it was necessarily the best one, but that's what I thought at the time.
Okay, yeah. I think that's fair. It's definitely an interesting spot. Personally, sure, yeah, I think this is completely fine. The one thing that's interesting here is scrap units. There's actually 7 of them, okay? So when you can, what you want to do is get 2 scrap emblems. It is very rare to get 2 scrap emblems because it allows you to get 9 scrap if you have all of the other scraps, okay?
Yeah.
So in your case where you have 2 scrap emblems, I would not sell any scrap units. If I have a scrap unit, even if I'm not using it, I would put it on my bench and not touch it, right? Because right now, imagine if you had held your Trundle, you can go 9 scraps right now, okay? All you need to do is just find an Echo, and then you would have 8 scrap units, as well as the Golem, which makes you 9 scraps at level 8, which is extremely strong. Normally, you have to be at level 9 to fit in 9 characters, but because the Golem is kind of free, you actually can get 9 scraps at level 8, which is extremely strong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And as you can see, I did find a Corki in the shop.
Yeah.
And this I actually did do what you said with the powder. I'm not sure if I end up keeping her or selling her, but yeah. So now I've got Artillerist in there too.
Yeah, I think that's good. But again, in the future, think about the traits that are normally like hard to get. For example, 9 scrap is very hard to get, which means it's probably pretty strong. 9 scraps is decently strong, I would say, but you should think about, is it possible for me to get to those crazy traits like 9 scraps or maybe 10 enforcers or maybe 8 pit fighters? Because if you can, that's how you get first place in a game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you probably see in this game I look over the scrap emblem a lot. Can it not be made from the pan or spatula?
No. So there's some that can be made, but scrap is actually one that cannot be made. And that's what makes it so hard to get 9 scrap.
Yeah.
And if you think about it from a balancing perspective, without any stats or anything, that probably means that 9 scrap is extra strong because of how difficult it is to get, you know?
So in the carousel, I had picked up a LeBlanc that had a Last Whisper on her.
Sure.
So I put that on Corki, and yeah, he has it on him right now.
Yeah.
I also picked up another Corki and another Mundo.
The other thing I want to call out is for your Rumble, back before the fight started, you picked Flamethrower over Self-Destruct button.
Okay.
Generally, some of the other upgrades can be picked one over the other, but when you see Self-Destruct button, you pick Self-Destruct button, okay? And the reason why is because first, it increases the armor and magic resist of your Rumble, which means he stays alive for longer. And then second, it always adds benefit when he dies. Does that make sense?
That's true.
Because it's possible for them to just explode your Rumble 1 second into the fight, and your Rumble would do nothing. But when you have self-destruct button, he always does something. At the very least, he'll explode and deal some damage to the people around him. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. And also, let's say you get self-destruct button first. Next time you pick flamethrower, now that you're tankier, your flamethrower has more value because you stay alive for longer. Okay?
So these skills you give him carry over?
Yes. He will constantly upgrade. And that's why it's very important to put in a Rumble as soon as you see him if you want him in your final comp. Okay?
That makes sense.
Because that way he can start upgrading and he gets stronger and stronger and stronger. However, there are also times where you put in a Rumble temporarily. You don't want to have him for the end game, and that's where you pick spare parts. Okay, if you look at spare parts, it actually costs 0 gold, whereas the other two cost 5 gold each.
Yeah.
So if you just have him as like a temporary unit, pick spare part. But if you want to keep him in long term, definitely pick the other two that are 5 gold if you can afford it. Right? Let's say you're at 0 gold and you're trying to build up your economy. That might also be a good case to build to go spare parts, or if you're trying to level up, you might go spare parts. But I think in this location, self-destruct button would have been the best choice here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the fight. Yeah. I really like your setup, kind of playing around like the Dominator, as well as Pit Fighter, as well as Artillerist. There's a lot of good synergies between Scrap and Experiment actually. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for kind of finding those.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I always like the little dances.
Yeah. Yeah, they're cute. So
I did
again,
roll over an echo there.
yeah. Not a big deal, but yes.
I did find a Twitch,
Uh-huh.
and at this point,
Sure, that's fine. So the experiment bonus for Zyra is actually quite strong. But again, I haven't made a video yet. When I make a video, you'll see the different bonuses and such.
yeah, I guess I do ultimately keep the Zyra in.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing to consider is your Thief's Gloves. You see how it has a Last Whisper and a Titans on it? So Thief's Gloves items do not change within a single round. Which means if you sold your Zyra and gave it to the Twitch for this round specifically, you'll still have a Last Whisper and a Titans.
That's
Okay?
true.
So that's one thing to consider. Like, should I switch? Should I not? Obviously, Twitch will be better with a Last Whisper than a Zyra. So maybe that could have been a reason to switch to make sure you're as strong as possible for this round. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is... Oh, nice. Yeah. The other thing is we're starting to get to the end of the game. We're already on stage 5-7. Right now, the most important thing is staying alive. How do I be as strong as possible, right? So this is where I tried to level up to level 9. I spent all of my gold trying to roll for the strongest board possible. Let's say you die next turn. What's the point of having 60 gold? You're still dead, right? So you want to try to roll as much as possible to be as strong as possible, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was good. But again, like, next time, if possible, you keep the Trundle, because you would have 9 scrap right now and probably won the whole game.
Yeah, I guess because I have both the Scrap Emblem and the Golem.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at this point, I don't remember if it's that. I know I tried to do the 7 experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So I did pick self-destruct button here.
Yeah, 7 experiments would be completely fine here as well.
So yeah, this is.
Yeah, okay.
So I thought, like, what if I do this? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely try to put Twitch, again,
I mean, Twitch being
Yeah.
a sniper would be better in a corner.
yeah. Oh, okay, you're doing the thing where you, like, put him in the back, right? So, again, whenever you put stuff on the board, think about, like, how do I get the items off of them? Because your game plank right now has multiple items,
Yeah.
which could make your board stronger right now, right? And I feel like you lose this, and I think it would have definitely made a difference if you had those items on your board.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at the items that's on these 2 units right now... Oh. Huh. So, one thing is... I see right now you're trying to fit both, right? You're trying to fit experiments and you're trying to fit scrap. But this is a case where specializing is actually better, right? If you got 9 experiment, the bonuses are way better than 6 experiment. And if you get 9 scrap, and if you got 7 experiments, it actually is literally twice as good. If you read what 7 experiment does, it just reads that the experiment bonuses are twice as effective. Okay. So here you kind of try to do a little bit of both, but you actually end up a little weaker than specializing in one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But overall, I think that was good. I think you did what we would call cooking, where you basically make a comp that's non-existent before. So I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Good job there.
Thanks. Yeah, that was also a challenge of this, that there isn't some scrap experiment combo comp that already really exists. So I was just kind of playing around with something new.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think those are the best games. So I'm glad that you did well there and you had fun.
Yeah, and finishing third, I was pretty happy with that.
Okay, yeah, good job. Yeah. All right, thank you, everyone. If you guys have any thoughts on what she could have done better or any feedback on things that I missed or just what you have learned from this video, please feel free to post it in the comments. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.